I want to jump in one thing because I keep hearing us about data and what's next. And while I love data, I love the understanding. I think it helps us do our jobs more, just let's say better. I feel like we've dehumanized everything to the point that we're not even talking about people anymore. It's a persona. And I'm wondering if the next move is to actually rehumanize what we're doing, find a way to bring the human component back into it. I'm sorry, an SDR calling me is not humanizing this, right? An AE calling about my sale is not humanizing this. You telling me that I bought these 3 things, which means I'll probably buy this next, does not make me feel like I want to do business with me. For most people out there, it actually scares them. And they're like, why are you collecting data on me? Why do you know all these things about me? And, look, to some extent, I think it's helpful, because being able to predict what you want and give it to you when you need it is a great thing. I don't hate that. But I do hate that I feel like I'm dealing with computerized algorithms and not people, that we're building businesses almost to serve a business, not a human. And I'm wondering if there's going to be a movement to use all this great info and data that we have now in these products to rehumanize the feeling that we get when we actually engage, to make us feel like you actually care. You're not just like, you're worth $8 to me. Yeah. Right.
So let me ask you this, like, how does that manifest itself? And are you seeing examples of that maybe in non-traditional places where that's already starting to happen?
Where I'm seeing it the most is where we keep talking about how, people have moved away from going to stores and doing things, but we're also seeing that now people are showing up at events at a clip we've never seen before. Now, granted, we can go back to, hey, COVID propagated this. Sure. We're a little bit past that. I think we've been doing events now for, year plus, and they're still a pretty high level, and people want to engage humanly, face-to-face interaction. I mean, that's just a first take, right? How we would use this data, I'm not sure yet. I just know that even in my own sales motions, buying motions, when I need to buy, I have felt a little put off at times where I'm sitting here going, that's how they just do it, and you put up with it. Not I enjoyed the experience or I want to build a relationship with this organization and go deeper. So there's definitely something there. And, look, I think that's why the initial thought was, hey, bring in CS, humanize everything, make them feel like we care. And it's not a solution, right? It was a Band-Aid. So I'm just kind of curious, like where we could go with these things and what we can do with all this amazing information, data, and new things that are helping us to be better informed. Like, I feel like I understand myself better, truly. Right. So that's what I think.
We're really happy about that, Judd.
Thank you. Thank you, Craig.
It's a big breakthrough.
Let's help. Hold on. We're glad that you've taken the step to really understand yourself better.
Thank you.
Now let's talk about your feelings. No, I think it's actually a good point. But I would say 2 things. So one is a story. So years ago, I met with an agency that had one of the big airlines. Okay. And they had multi-million-dollar deal there. And they spent, 6 years through digital transformation with them. And what the guy was telling me, he's the head of the agency, he's like, look, we did 6 years of transformation, but you know what we figured out along the way? And I'm like, what? He's like, do you know what or who the customer spends the most time with? And I'm like,
Flight attendant.
And he's like, so what we did was instead we moved the transformation to the flight attendant. And we met with the flight attendant who's more likely to engage with the customer and figured out what do they need to personalize the experiences. And so an example is, I don't know if you know, but like years ago, they didn't know who was sitting in the seat. I mean, they did, but it wasn't usable, right? It might have been somewhere else on a sheet of paper or even on, some kind of grid-like view in the back. But now when they're coming to you live, so like don't make fun of me, I'm in Alaska. That's where my miles are. So they come up, they say, Mr. Rosenberg, do you want your chocolate? I get my chocolate. And then they say, you have one free drink, last time you had the Kona lager or whatever, do you want one? And it's like, yeah, that little amount of personalization goes a long way. So like, as you think about, so I'll go to the second point, which is, Judd, I think I think the point you're making is real. We're in a transmedia world, right? We're in this like where we do have to address how we communicate with our buyers who prefer TikTok versus LinkedIn versus human. But can we take that data and make the human experience better and more like, because we're talking about how people are craving the human experience, but if you take your standard LinkedIn ribbing, it's always against a terrible sales experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
And
that
so,
I think retail is poised to do this very well, right? Utilizing a very similar use case to what you're discussing on the airline front, Craig. Retail can create really great experiences, and we all have heard about them, or sort of you've seen them in popular media, right? Like the repeat buyer that walks into a store and they're like, "Oh, great to see you. Here's your glass of champagne. I want to walk you through like our latest X, Y, and Z from for this season or whatever." But the amount of data that retail can collect on you based upon your email engagement, your social engagement, your purchase history, your online purchase history versus your in-store purchase history should be creating realities like this, where you walk into a store and maybe you walk into a store and you make purchases that look like X, and they can just walk you through that process really quickly. I mean, I think about like the times where, maybe I'm making a purchase for someone else, and they're like, "Oh, looking at your purchase history, like this might be a great fit for this gift that you want to provide to somebody." And I think that is the interplay between utilizing data very effectively and creating a very human experience for somebody. We've all seen the movies from the past where your usual table, Mr. Rosenberg, your usual scotch, Mr. Rosenberg. Would you like the would you like your steak medium rare or whatever? And that's just human interaction, people knowing people based upon their previous experiences. But like, can we capitalize on that same reality by utilizing data very effectively and ensuring that data is there with the store salesperson or whomever is there to greet the customer? Like, to me, that is where this all starts to coalesce and sort of leans into Judd's take here on creating something that's much more human. How that applies to B2B, a lot more challenging. But what I can tell you is that when you start, like from my own personal journey at my new company, when you start pulling data from the cloud data warehouse and start putting that directly into CRM, right? So like, I can see this company, I can see every interaction that they've ever had with us as a business, whether it's just I had an ad impression on them from a LinkedIn ad campaign. They've seen this ad. They've been to this page of my website. They've used the free version of my product. They did X, Y, and Z with my product. That is a level of much deeper understanding around how that account is engaged with us than what we previously were ever able to do. And that unlocks an entirely new set of possibilities as a marketer. And I think that this is, what's that?
I was just excited that you used the phrase unlock. Thank you. I was asking, is this an unlock? Yeah.
This might be an unlock.
Oh, wow. The visual.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it.
So to me, in terms, the application there is broad. Scoring, the handoff between marketing and sales, the handoff between sales and customer success, the opportunity for customer account managers to have an insight into like what their customers are actually doing. And if they're filing, a ticket because they've got an issue, like the full breadth and understanding of how that engagement started, what's happened since they became a customer, what they're most likely to do next. Perhaps that is the moment where you can create that, Gucci, Louis Vuitton type experience for your customer of your SaaS application.
I was thinking about, Judd, when you were talking about the events. It was, you ever watch the show Veep, where Gary would follow her through the party and go, that's
so true. Yep.
Prime Minister of Finland, and here's what they care about. So that's like so I do agree, man. Physical events, I can't wait. Like I go to them, and I do them because it's just great to see people. I just missed it. I forgot how great it was. And by the way, for everyone here, including your silo, because, we used to say, God, I just talk to the same people. And then I realized, holy crap, it was good to talk to the same people.
Yeah.
We learn from each other in a way that's amazing. But like, if you go to an event, one of the issues is just human prep. And I think I'm going to go back to tech. I'm not the person that automatically goes back to tech, but can we replicate Gary, the person who whispers in your ear so that you know what to go talk about? Now, there is a training component to that with sales, right? Like, for example, how sales, I saw you downloaded this white paper, and people are like, what? Oh, come on. Instead of saying, hey, we were talking to a lot of folks about this topic, would love to talk to you about, they could have just done it with just 4 different words and made it a lot better. That's, instead of saying, hey, I've been doing a lot of research via our cloud data warehouse, and you seem to like this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, just knowing what they're going to want to talk about so that you can because one of the things that I do personally at events is I'm trying to learn as much as I can from the person I'm talking to. But I will say most people want to hear from, like it's this weird thing. Like they know enough about me that they want to hear more about what I have to say about a particular topic. If you went,
Craig, it's because you're famous.
Oh, Craig, you're so famous.
You're so famous.
This is a really good thing. Anyway,
you got Scott and called famous in the same day.
Let's replicate Gary from Veep. So yeah. Anyway, I think Judd, you should be the voice of reminding us that at the end of the day, most deals happen because of some human-to-human interaction. The differentiator, I think, for a lot of organizations will be that digital will rule the ongoing, like the initial and ongoing relationship. The ability to be where they are and to either educate or at least be in someone's ear. But at the end of the day, it's not until the humans connect that thing puts you over the top. And what can tech do for us there? I think is I think it's a big deal. So, Judd, you are as super app.
Super app. There you go.
You did good on that one.
One last thing. I know a lot of people rip sales and try to say that's a human component, but remember, we've created sales as a process. People are just fine. It's not a humanized thing. You don't care really about what they're saying, and a lot do. I think the really good ones do, and they create a great experience where people want to engage with them. When we see those horrible experience, it's maybe early stage or people who don't know how to sell, who are just following the script, who are following this thing and don't understand that it's still a human being you're talking to. So just to kind of cap this one, I think that to your point, I love the point that you made where it's like, we have this data, and instead of making it feel weird, be a human being. Talk like, hey, I'm hearing this stuff. Is this something you're hearing? Not, I saw all of your data and I know what you like. Can we get back to being people again and actually engaging? And I'm going to say there's a reason that $1 million deals still include human beings in a purchase.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You got to get on the plane. You got to go shake a hand. Like, it still really, really matters. I think it's interesting because, I think over the course of my career in tech, I've gradually watched people resist the standard go-to-market play. Like, doesn't matter if you're lead-based, account-based, whatever. It started with, I don't want to fill out this form because I know what's going to happen. Right? Like, I don't want to download this white paper. And then we're like, okay, we got to go ungated. And then it was like, I'd rather do a free trial than a demo request because I know what's going to happen. And it's like, I'd rather self-provision because I know what's going to happen. So it's interesting because we want to create a more human experience, but I'm wondering, does the prospect just not want the human experience? Right?
We need to unpack that, though, because the caveat to all of this is we have built systems to guide people. So to your point, and I agree because I do the same thing. I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
But is that a human experience? Is it like, we know that it is a thing that will happen. We know exactly what it's going to be. That's not human. Human is, hey, look, you asked for a demo. Do me a favor. You tell me what you want to see and let me help answer questions for you. That's a very different approach that most people don't take. Yeah. Right. Like instead of I'm going to go through my process, I have to mark off these things. I'm trying to qualify you through blah, 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 blah. Like the people who come on just have a conversation with you and you get off, you're like, I really enjoyed that. That's totally different.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I think that there's a whole thing that we've got to really unpack and get to, because to your point, you are right. People have gone one step to the next and saying, I don't want that because I know what's coming. I don't want that because I know what's coming. Not because it's human to human, but because it's so contrived and not a real experience that they're just like, I don't want to deal with it. It's why?
Yeah.
No.
By the way, for the next show, I think one thing we should tackle is phrases that entered the tech go-to-market lexicon that are that were completely overused and annoying. And so I have to think about it. But as we were talking, I was listening to us talk, and we have been many of those things have infiltrated our own way that we talk. So we'll have to tackle that as a good one. By the way, this was a deep topic, and Judd, you try to put a cap on it, and you can't.
Can't put a cap on it.
Thanks for tuning in to GTM Unfiltered. To hear our innovative insights and strategies, visit gtmunfiltered.com. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Until next time.